Part 1. The surface of the mind. The self is only a wave collection me. Every morning, you open your eyes and believe you are the same person you were yesterday. The one who worked, who loved, who was hurt, who hoped. You have a name, a body, memories, and you call that collection me. But if you look closely, you'll see there is no fixed someone there. Only a stream of memories, reactions, and habits repeating themselves, moment after moment. You think you are living, but in truth, you are being lived by the same unconscious programs recorded through countless lifetimes. Each morning, your mind simply boots up the same old operating system and calls it I. Modern neuroscience now confirms it. Over 90% of human decisions occur before consciousness is aware of them. A researcher at MIT once said, "Your brain knows what you'll choose before you think you're choosing." The Buddha saw this long before science could measure it. He called this hidden process sankhara, the ceaseless motion of habit energy, where all emotions, memories, and karmic seeds reside. Everything you call your personality is simply what rises to the surface of that deep current. Your preferences, your impulses, your truths, they are not you. They are only waves on the surface of the ocean of mind. Look at the world today. Artificial intelligence can write poetry, paint pictures, even imitate empathy. But here's the real question. If machines can act like humans, aren't humans living more like machines? We respond to emotional algorithms. A single comment can ruin our mood. A notification can decide our day. We scroll endlessly, reacting, comparing, judging, believing it's us making the choices. But it's not. It's the same old wave. The wave of conditioning, of forgotten memories, of buried fears. You are not those waves. You are the ocean where all waves rise and vanish. The Buddha once said, "When the water is still, you can see the bottom." But in the modern world, our minds are never still. We live in a storm of information and noise. Likes, shares, headlines, debates, live streams. In this endless movement, the ego grows, loud, fearful, lonely. And we forget that this self we defend is just a layer of turbulence hiding the calm beneath. You can read every book on mindfulness, recite every sutra, but unless you've paused to see who is reacting, who is thinking, who is seeking, you're still standing on the surface of the water while the true current flows unseen below. Ask yourself this. Why do you get angry when you don't want to? Why do you fear when you know you're safe? Why do you love and hate the same person in one breath? The answer lies beneath awareness, in the hidden storehouse of karma and habit, the Alaya Vijnana, the deep consciousness that records everything without ever sleeping. It keeps all the imprints, every word, every desire, every tiny vibration. And it runs your life while you believe you are in control. You are not the one choosing. You are being chosen by the seeds you have yet to see. But the moment you begin to observe, without reaction, without judgment, you create space between the wave and the ocean. That space is freedom. You don't have to fight your mind. Just see it clearly. The wave falls silent on its own. The ocean remains untouched. And in that silence you realize the self was never something to perfect. It was only an illusion to be seen through. The Buddha said, "There is no I, only the arising and passing of phenomena." When that is understood, suffering ends, not because the pain disappears, but because there is no one left to own it. You no longer live as a person, but as life itself, breathing, knowing, and shining through every form. Remember this, the self is only the wave. The ocean never left. Part 2. The structure of the mind. From the 6 consciousnesses to Manas and Alaya. Have you ever wondered why a memory you thought was forgotten can suddenly tighten your chest after years have passed? Why a scent, a song, or a random post online can make your eyes fill with tears for no reason at all? It's not random. It is the deeper structure of the mind at work. In Buddhist psychology, this is called the Eightfold Consciousness, an architecture of awareness so subtle that even modern neuroscience has only begun to glimpse its edges. According to Yogacara philosophy, the human mind is not one solid block. It is a continuous flow of 8 layers of consciousness. The first 6 you already know. They are the windows through which we experience the world. Eye consciousness, seeing; ear consciousness, hearing; nose consciousness, smelling; tongue consciousness, tasting; body consciousness, touching; mind consciousness, thinking, analyzing, comparing. These 6 are like the user interface of your being. They let you interact, react, and experience. But like waves on the surface of an ocean, they are impermanent, ever-changing, never still. At Harvard, researchers discovered that every emotion and decision you make is triggered by millions of neural patterns built from past experiences. In essence, your brain isn't deciding, it's replaying. The Buddha said the same. Every thought and reaction is the result of old seeds ripening. You think you are choosing, but in truth, you are reliving your past in new disguises. A person quick to anger is not choosing to be angry. They are simply reacting to seeds of anger planted long ago. It's like YouTube's algorithm. Once you click on rage, it keeps recommending rage. The mind does the same. It feeds you what you once indulged. Beyond those 6, there lies manas, the 7th consciousness. This is the most subtle layer of ego clinging. It constantly whispers, I am seeing, I am thinking, I am meditating. Manas does not look outward, it only looks inward, clutching the feeling that I exist. And that feeling is the root of all suffering. You can renounce wealth, abandon desires, even live in a cave, but very few have the courage to renounce the sense of being someone. If the first 6 consciousnesses are the stage, then Manas is the main actor, and beneath them all, unseen, is the scriptwriter of existence. Alaya Vijnana, the storehouse consciousness. Alaya, the great repository, is where all your experiences, emotions, and karmic tendencies are stored. Every joy, every wound, every desire, every forgotten thought, nothing is lost. They compress into psychological seeds, waiting for the right conditions to rise again as thoughts, moods, or destiny. Alaya does not judge. It doesn't label things good or bad. It simply records, relentlessly. It operates even when you sleep, when you faint, even when consciousness falls silent. And when the body dies, Alaya continues, carrying every unawakened habit, every unseen imprint. That continuation is what humans call karma, or rebirth. There is no soul jumping from one body to another, only unfinished energy seeking new ground to express itself again. To see this clearly is to realize that humans do not live by free will. They live by unseen programming. But that recognition is also the door to freedom. Because if Alaya can store old seeds, it can also receive new ones. A single moment of awareness, a kind action, a breath taken without grasping, each becomes a new seed that reshapes the entire flow of consciousness. Like a lake disturbed by wind, it only takes a single moment of stillness for the sky to reflect again. The Buddha once said, "One who understands the mind transcends all phenomena." To understand does not mean to control. It means to see how it functions, without a controller. When you witness all 8 layers, from sight, sound, and thought to manas and alaya, you realize there is no one truly living. There is only life, flowing, transforming, aware of itself. And in that seeing, awakening begins. Part 3. Karma and Seeds, the Endless Current of the Mind. Imagine deep inside your mind, there is a machine that never stops running. It doesn't rest when you sleep. It doesn't pause when you suffer. It doesn't end when you die. That machine is called Alaya Vijnana, and the energy that drives it is karma. You may not believe in rebirth, but you have felt this truth. Every act, every word leaves an echo, a vibration, and someday you meet it again in another form. In Buddhist thought, karma is not punishment or reward. It is simply the natural feedback of consciousness. Every time you act, a seed, a bija, is imprinted into the depths of Alaya. That seed never disappears. It waits, like a line of code, for the right conditions to execute. When the moment arrives, the seed awakens, emerging as emotion, speech, or action, and each action plants new seeds in return. Thus, life continues, a self-writing, self-looping script, running endlessly within the mind. If you've ever used social media, you already understand karma. You like one video. Tomorrow the algorithm floods your feed with 10 more. You react in anger. It remembers that frequency and keeps feeding you more anger. The mind works the same way. When you nurture anger, it records itself in your storehouse. When you practice kindness, that too is stored. Alaya does not take sides. It records both light and shadow. It does not judge, but it always returns exactly what you have sent out. People often say, "I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I still suffering?" Because suffering rarely comes from yesterday's deeds. It comes from seeds long buried, from this life, or from the collective memory humanity carries. The Buddha called this vasana, the unconscious patterns woven through time. We don't inherit a soul. We inherit a style of reaction. A child born amid violence will often respond with violence, not because they are bad, but because that seed was already waiting within them. Last year, scientists at Stanford discovered that fear can be passed genetically between mice through a single scent. The next generation, never exposed to that fear, still trembled when they smelled it. What neuroscience calls epigenetic memory, the Buddha described 2,500 years ago. Every experience leaves an imprint within the storehouse mind, and when the conditions return, it rises again, as if it never ended. You are not just living your life. You are living the accumulated memory of countless beings coded into your cells and echoed within the shared consciousness of humanity. But karma is not a prison. It is a map of evolution. If you can see the process, you can liberate it, not through control, but through awareness. When you observe anger without reacting, you have changed a seed. When you smile within fear, you have planted a new one. Slowly, these new seeds soften the current of Alaya, transforming it from a storehouse of suffering into a garden of wisdom. Karma is not your fate. It is your teacher. Every reaction is a lesson. Every wound is a doorway. If you can see what arises, without running, without blaming, without clinging, karma loses its chains and seeds stop multiplying. Alaya still moves, but now it moves with light instead of shadow. The current still flows, but no one is swept away. Part 4. Manas, the gatekeeper of the ego. There is a gatekeeper within your mind. He never sleeps. He never leaves. He stands silently between conscious thought and the storehouse mind, between who you think you are and what you truly are. His name is Manas, the seventh consciousness in Buddhist psychology, the one who does not create the world, but distorts the way you see it. He doesn't speak loudly, yet every thought, every emotion, every choice you make must pass through him. If Alaya Vijnana is the deep database of the mind, the storage of every memory and seed, then Manas is the firewall, the process that encrypts experience with the tag I. It is Manas who creates the constant feeling, I am seeing, I am thinking, I am meditating, I am suffering. That sense feels natural, but it is the subtlest illusion in the entire structure of consciousness. In modern neuroscience, there is something called the default mode network. When you stop focusing on the outer world, this network begins to whisper, "What about me? Am I okay? What do people think of me?" That is manas, the biological version of the ego. It helps you tell a story about yourself, but it also traps you inside that story. You no longer live life directly. You live inside the narrative of me. Imagine your consciousness as a smartphone. Alaya is the hard drive storing every bit of data you've ever created. Manas is the operating system, the invisible layer that stamps every file with, "Made by me, belongs to me." Because of that watermark, every experience becomes distorted. Even when you love, Manas whispers, "I am loving." Even when you meditate, it murmurs, "I am becoming enlightened." Do you see? The ego is never absent, not even in the quest to transcend itself. You cannot destroy Manas, because the one trying to destroy it is Manas itself. Every effort to become egoless feeds another ego, more refined, more spiritual, more holy. It's like trying to delete a virus using the same program that's infected. The harder you try, the deeper you're trapped. The more you chase silence, the more Manas whispers, "Look, I am so silent now." And that is how you lose. In the digital age, Manas has evolved beyond psychology. It has become global technology. Every platform is designed to amplify the ego. Profile pictures, likes, followers, metrics. The more recognition you get, the stronger the I becomes. And the stronger it grows, the more terrified it is of losing what it owns. Thus, humanity is not awakening. It is drowning in a collective ocean of Manas, a global network of mirrors where each self reflects another illusion. Korgru. You don't need to kill Manas. You only need to see it clearly. When anger rises, look at who is angry. When fear appears, look at who is afraid. When a voice inside says, "I am beyond ego," smile, because even then Manas is speaking. When you simply watch without entering the role, the gatekeeper loses his power. He doesn't vanish, he becomes transparent. And in that stillness, Alaya begins to open. Light seeps through the cracks, and for the first time you see the world without the mirror of I. Manas is not the enemy. He is the faithful guardian of illusion. Only when you stop fighting him, stop judging, stop chasing after enlightenment, does he bow quietly. And when the gate opens, you don't step outward, you fall inward. There is no I see. Only seeing, no only knowing. And that is the beginning of freedom. Part 5. Transforming Consciousness into Wisdom. The revelation of pure awareness. There comes a moment on the path of awakening when every question quietly falls away. Not because you found an answer, but because you realize there is no one left to ask. When the questioner dissolves, what remains is wisdom itself. This is what the ancients called transforming consciousness into wisdom. A passage from the restless movements of mind to the luminous stillness of awareness, where no subject remains, no object exists, only the light of knowing, aware of itself. In Buddhist psychology, this transformation is the purification of the 8 layers of consciousness: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, manas, and alaya, until each becomes transparent, no longer reacting through habit, but functioning as the natural intelligence of reality. Then the Alaya Consciousness, the storehouse of karma, becomes the great mirror wisdom, Mahadarshijnana, a mirror that reflects all things without clinging to anything. No longer I see, but seeing itself. No longer I know, but knowing itself, vast, empty, radiant, still. Quantum physicists say that at the deepest level of reality, there is no observer and no observed. only a field of energy aware of itself. Buddha had already spoken of this 25 centuries ago. Awareness is not born from the brain. The brain is only a tool that displays it, just as a screen shows light, but the light does not belong to the screen. When consciousness turns into wisdom, the brain is no longer the center of knowing. It becomes a current flowing in the vast ocean of awareness. Imagine the human mind as a complex operating system. Across countless lifetimes, we've installed too many apps. Anger, fear, desire, judgment. They run in the background, draining energy, slowing the system down. Meditation doesn't delete the data. It stops the automatic processes. Gradually, the system becomes lighter, and then you realize the operating system isn't you. It's just a tool. At that point, the user, the ego, disappears, and what remains is the interface of pure awareness. No longer I am operating, but operation itself is happening, naturally, effortlessly, with crystal clarity. The paradox is this: wisdom cannot be achieved through effort. All effort belongs to consciousness, to the restless I trying to reach. Wisdom dawns when effort ceases. When you sit silently, not resisting, not striving, not seeking, then like sunlight entering a cave, the darkness simply disappears. No one pushes it away because light has arrived. The Buddha once said, "In the seeing, there is only the seeing. In the hearing, only the hearing." When you live from that space, every action, word, and thought becomes an expression of wisdom, not mind. Mind sees through memory. Wisdom sees through emptiness. Mind reacts, wisdom observes. Mind wants control, wisdom dissolves into what is. And in that total dissolution, karma stops revolving. Samsara comes to rest. Not because someone escaped it, but because no one was ever truly inside it. When pure awareness reveals itself, there are no fireworks, no final triumph. No one is liberated. Only awareness returns to itself. You look around. Nothing has changed. The sky is still blue, the city still hums, the breath still moves. But amidst all sound, there is a profound silence, where the listener and the sound are no longer two. This is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of conscious living, no longer someone living life, but life itself, aware that it lives.